Oh, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, another sort of theory about what's happening with Doctor Who. Because, okay, so Doctor Who was being produced by the BBC and it was going okay. The ratings were kind of going down, but that was sort of happening, with TV in general. So it wasn't necessarily an indication of Doctor Who's declining popularity, but there were issues and questions. Then Disney stepped in and basically said, well, we will give you a whole bunch of money, and we will basically create a more expensive, bigger show, and you'll let us basically release it and treat it like it's a new series that we are producing, and you will also air it, but it'll be like our show, and it's going to be season one and start over again and everything. So they did that because I think the BBC was a little scared to spend so much money on Doctor Who, because it wasn't rating as well as it used to. And I think they were looking for someone to license it to, and they would produce it and they would just take a cut of it, which is a much better way to make money out of a TV show. Someone pays you to make it, and then if it flops, then they're the ones who lose the money. So that seemed to be something they were comfortable with. But then season one aired, and it wasn't as big as people thought. It didn't they sort of thought, well, we put a bunch of money into it, we blow up the budget and promote it, it'll be really big in America. We can basically get Americans to watch Doctor Who. Well, Americans have known about Doctor Who for their whole life, and they either like it or they don't. So they didn't really get this new fan base just cropping up from the extra marketing and budget that they paid for it. So the ratings were a bit soft, although they apparently considered Doctor Who to be a less expensive show, so not as much of a risk, so it didn't matter as much, but they still supposedly weren't that happy with it. So there was talk that they weren't going to do a third season because season 1 and 2 were already sort of done, or had been greenlit, and they were just waiting to see how that went to do the third season. And then the talk was, well, they're going to wait until the second season airs and then decide to do a third season, and if they do, the question was, well, how are they going to get the third season out in time? Because there's going to be a delay, because it's a long time for post-production, pre-production, and you have to, basically start one series when the other one ends. So by the time one gets to air, you've already sort of started on the next one, and then you can get that out for the next year, and they're doubting that's going to happen. And what some people are suggesting is, because they're doing a spin-off, I think it's called The War Between the Land and the Sea, that they're going to put that up in 2026. So, excuse me, the season one, the new season one of the new Doctor Who aired 2024. Season 2 will air 2025, and if that does well, if season 1 has prepped people and repeats and so forth, and people just checking in and watching it later on streaming and then go, oh, I like this, and then showing up for the second season, if all that helps the second season and they decide to do a third season, then it won't matter, because 2026 will have the spin-off series, because there was talk that was going to air towards the end of the year, and now people are suggesting they're going to push that into the next year, which may be an issue with effects and production. Often, shows, especially effects heavy science fiction shows, stuff like that, they sometimes get delayed anyway. There's talk that they're going to just make that 2026, and then that gives them the year, if season 2 does well and they do want to do a season 3, they can get that produced, and that'll be out for the next year. And that's something that they've been talking about with Star Trek as well, was saying that we won't be having ongoing shows. We will, when one show finishes production, the next show will finish. We won't be starting a new show until the old one's finished production, and then we'll have one show sort of a year showing. Whereas for a while they had multiple productions on, and they were trying to get one show following the next show following the next show, and having the whole year being filled with Star Trek. So you had to be subscribed to Paramount Plus, or when they sort of started this, CBS All Access was failed. Yes, I just wanted to remind people that failed. But they sort of wanted to have it running that way, and they sort of slowed down, and now it's more like just one show a year, and they do seem to be waiting for one production to end before the next production starts. And talk of new productions which are coming, they're not announcing them all and trying to have them all running and get everyone excited. They're trying to just take one at a time, spend the money and the attention on one at a time, and do it that way, rather than trying to have the streaming services just full of Star Trek every month, so fans had to sign up. So that was sort of the idea. Now, are they going to sort of take that approach with Doctor Who, where if they do a spin-off, maybe that's the Doctor Who production for the year, and then, you know, there's 2 years between seasons, and a lot of people are upset because they're doing less episodes and they're doing less frequent series, so you're getting less Who. So will people be okay with, you know, having a year between seasons if they have a spin-off in between? Because it's still Who, it's just, you know, well, indirect Who. So I don't know where that's going. I just sort of heard, I have just been watching a few videos and reading a few things, and it seems like it's a bit up in the air, a bit of confusion and a lot of speculation, and we're not going to know until, you know, we know. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of what's happening with Doctor Who, and if people are just being paranoid and making up stories, or if, you know, these rumours actually are based on, you know, a real situation that's sort of developing.